Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're jumping into a passage from the book of James that a lot of us probably think we know pretty well, James chapter 5. But we're going to see how this text is about something so much deeper than just, waiting for hard times to pass.
So let me ask you something. When you hear that phrase, patience and suffering, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's probably that image of just passively enduring. Gritting your teeth, waiting for the storm to blow over, and just hoping for the best. But what if that's not even half the story?
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to challenge that common idea of just being patient. Then we'll get into the real goal here, which is this idea of wholeness. After that, we'll look at the Lord's active role in all this, explore the super practical part prayer plays, and then we'll wrap up with this pretty challenging idea of radical honesty in our community.
Okay, so picture this. You open your Bible to James chapter 5, and right there at the top of the section, most translations have a little heading, something like patience in suffering. And look, that's helpful, sure, but it can also kind of put the idea in a box. The original language suggests something way more active, way more dynamic is going on here.
You see, we tend to think of it as just passively waiting, just enduring whatever comes our way. But what James is really talking about is active perseverance. This isn't about just being miserable while you wait things out. It's about actively pursuing integrity and, get this, even joy, right in the middle of the hardship. It's a total paradigm shift.
So if the whole point isn't just to grit our teeth and get through it, then what is the point? What are we actively persevering for? And this brings us to the one central idea that, I think, unlocks this whole passage. What's the goal?
The goal is this one. Really powerful word, wholeness. This is the destination. This is what James is pushing his readers toward. It's the whole reason for the perseverance in the first place.
Now this is super important. Wholeness here doesn't mean being perfect or unbroken. It's this state of deep spiritual integrity and completeness that is actually developed and forged through our trials. So it's not about just getting through something, it's about becoming something in the process.
Okay, but why? Why does this journey to wholeness matter so much? And this is where it gets really cool, because this isn't just some self-improvement project we're on. There's a divine purpose woven through this whole thing. James drops this huge clue for us. Check this out. In just these few verses, the phrase "the Lord" pops up 3 times. Now, in a short, punchy letter like this one, that is no accident. That's like a giant, flashing neon sign. He's basically yelling, hey, pay attention to Jesus here. His role is central.
First, he points us to the future, but look at the words he uses. The Lord is at hand, described as standing at the door. Think about that. This isn't us just passively waiting around, because he's not passively waiting either. He's active, he's close, he's preparing things for his return. Second, he points to the past, to the prophets. And what was their whole deal? They spoke and they acted in the name of the Lord, on God's behalf. Their whole identity was wrapped up in his purpose, not their own agenda. And this is where it all clicks into place. Our suffering, our perseverance, it's not random. It has a divine context. James is begging us to see the purpose of the Lord in all of it, to connect our little personal stories to his grand, cosmic plan.
So here it is, the bottom line. The reason we pursue wholeness is because God is preparing his people, his bride, the church, for the return of Christ. Our growth in integrity and joy and perseverance is actually part of that preparation. It's for a purpose so much bigger than our own individual comfort.
So that moves us from the huge theological why to the super practical how. I mean, if we're supposed to become whole as a community, how do we actually do that? Well, James pivots directly to the engine room of the church, prayer.
And what he lays out is this simple, beautiful playbook. Is anyone in trouble? The response is individual prayer. Is anyone cheerful? The response is to sing praise together. Is anyone sick? The response is to call for the leaders of the church, the elders, to come and pray. See how that works? Every state of life is met with a specific, prayerful, community-based action.
But then, James cranks it up a notch. He moves from praying about our circumstances to something that gets right to the very core of who we are. And honestly, it might be the most challenging instruction in his entire letter. This right here, this is the peak of community life. Now, let's be clear, this isn't a call for some public performance of confession. It's a call to build relationships that are so deep, so full of trust and vulnerability and accountability that you can be truly honest with one another about your struggles so that you can actually pray for each other and find healing. That is how real wholeness is forged.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds terrifying to most of us. How in the world is that even possible? Well, to get there, we need this radical shift in our mindset, something we could call the John the Baptist attitude.
This is the key. This is the secret sauce that unlocks that kind of vulnerability. As long as we are the main character in our own story, worried about our reputation, our image, we can never be that honest. It's impossible. But the moment we realize, just like John the Baptist did, that, hey, it's not about me, it is all about Christ, we are freed. We're freed up to be honest for His glory and for our mutual healing.
So, to wrap all this up, the question for every one of us is this: are we just settling for getting through our struggles? Or are we actively pursuing that deeper spiritual wholeness? Not by ourselves, but through the messy, beautiful, active life of prayer and honesty right there in our community. It's a challenge for sure, but it reframes everything.